This video is a follow-on from the previous two videos dealing with price in the precious metals markets. If you haven't seen those videos, I'd recommend you doing so before watching this one. So let's pick up where we left off. In this video and the next, we're going to look at the differences between money and currency. But before we look at those differences, let's take a quick look at currencies in order to be absolutely clear what currencies are. Being clear on terms is important in my opinion. Let's start off by making a distinction between cash and any digital currency in any bank or on any computer system. It should be entirely obvious, but cash refers to the physical form of currency, paper money and metal coins in circulation, the ones we use every day in stores and such like, so this includes all the bank notes and all the coins of whatever denomination. While we're talking about such things, I should perhaps say something about paper money. To start with, it should be called paper currency, not paper money, so that's what I will call it from now on. For a little background information, paper currency isn't a new phenomenon. Banknotes or promissory notes have been around an awfully long time, since the Han Dynasty in China circa 118 BC, so we can thank the Chinese for that invention. I should say though that paper currency isn't a bad thing in and of itself. How it's used is the issue. That said, the 17th century is the time period when paper currency really began to become predominant in Europe. This is when the banksters really started to gain power and fuck with societies. As for digital currencies, what I'm talking about here are the figures you see when you log into an online account, or the figures you see when you go to an ATM to check up on your balance, or the figures you see on a monthly bank statement. The cash, notes and coins, and digital currency combined go to make up the total amount of currency in circulation in a country, or the various countries in the Eurozone in the case of the European Union. So, in summary, the currencies in circulation in various nation-states or collection of nations are either paper banknotes or coins or digits on some computer screen. The currency of a country is issued by the central banks of that country, so the Fed in the United States, or the Bank of England in the UK, the Bank of Japan in Japan, or the ECB in the Eurozone, etc. I'm fairly certain that I'm right in saying that there's no need for central banks to exist. In any event, trust me when I say that central banks are the scourge of our societies. To my mind, they need not and should not exist. The sooner we are rid of them, the better. I can assure you that we'd be a whole lot better off without them. I hope and pray that that time will come fairly soon. I've done a number of videos about central banks for anyone who's interested. Moving on. Now we need to make an important distinction between money and currency. Most people, myself included sometimes, use the terms money and currency more or less interchangeably, but technically they are different and so shouldn't really be confused. The most important difference between money and currency has to do with store of value. Precious metals like gold and silver are considered as being money because they have the aforementioned store of value. They act as a good store of value. This means that both silver and gold hold their value over time. This is one of the most important characteristics of money, and it's especially important in terms of facilitating trade. Returning to our farmer scenario of the previous video, the farmer takes his spring lambs to market and exchanges it for money. He can then take the money and buy whatever he wants with it. It's absolutely critical that the money retains its value from the time he accepts the money to when he goes and buys something in some store. We have to also consider an alternative scenario in which he might be saving up for something special, so he puts the money under his mattress, or in a safe at home, or in some secret hidey hole. Hopefully he'll have enough sense not to put the money in the bank. But anyway, it's vital that money retains its value, no matter what time period, be it short term, medium term, or long term. For those of you who are more visually orientated, you might want to imagine a bucket with water in it to represent money and the notion of store of value. What good would the bucket be if it had a hole in it? Imagine a scenario in which the farmer fills the bucket with water. Then he has to do something on the farm that needs his attention, whatever that might be. But when he returns to the bucket sometime afterwards, he finds that his bucket is nearly empty. The bucket is basically not fit for purpose. A bucket with a hole in it is pretty useless and needs to be discarded. The same is true of money. Real money must retain its value over time. It's vitally important that it does so. Gold and silver are referred to as monetary metals. They've been used as a medium of exchange and a store of value for millennia, through the ages and across different cultures. This persistence over such long periods of time and also the cross-cultural aspects are points which are, to my mind, very telling. Currencies, on the other hand, have all the characteristics of money, but crucially, they don't have that all-important store of value. This is their fatal flaw. I will leave you with a little light-hearted hypothetical vignette. You can bury a bunch of gold coins in the back garden and they will still be of value 10 or 100 or even 1,000 years later. You could bury a bunch of currency, a bunch of notes, but you shouldn't expect the same result. Aside from the possibility of them rotting, it's a guarantee that they will not hold their value over time. I've split this topic into a number of videos, so there's another however many to follow. In the next video, I'll continue to talk about the differences between money and currency. Wise up and rise up.